Okay, continuing with our lessons. Okay, this is lesson number 8 for 10th grade. This topic, you can find it on page 58 on your books. Okay, now this topic is pretty simple. Okay, there are only two formulas that you need to remember whenever we are converting degrees to radians and radians to degrees. Okay, so for example, if we want the measurement of an angle in radians, that means that we need to multiply the degrees times pi over 180, and these are degrees. Okay? And if we want the measurement in degrees and we have radians, then the formula is the opposite. If we have the measurement of the angle in radians, that means that we need to multiply by 180 divided by pi. Okay? So these are the two formulas that we need to remember whenever we are talking about converting degrees to radians, radians to degrees. And remember, we're talking about the measurements of angles. Okay, so this means that we have two different ways to represent the measurement of an angle. Okay, it can be in degrees and it can be in radians. Okay, so if we are working with the measurement of these angles, okay, and we have them in one form, we're going to use this formula to convert it to the other form and vice versa. Okay, so we're going to put it into practice. Okay, we're going to do some exercises applying the formula so that you can see how it's done. Okay, so on the first one, okay, let's do angles into radians. Okay, you will need your calculators. Okay, so make sure to have them at hand. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so we're going to do 4 exercises. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, now if you notice, I put 2 exercises with positive angles and 2 exercises with negatives. Okay, what you need to remember is that whenever we have a coordinate plane, okay, whenever we have it here, okay, if we have a positive measurement of an angle, that means that it's measured in this direction. Okay, and if we are measuring in a negative, okay, angle, that means that the angle is measured in this direction. Okay, because remember, this is 90, 180, 270, 360. But when we do it backwards, it's negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. Okay? So it all depends on what direction we are measuring the angle. Okay? So we can have negative angles, okay, and we're still going to apply the same formula. Okay? So if we have the measurement in degrees, that means that we want it in radians. Okay? So this is what we're looking for. The measurement of the angle in radians. So we take the angle, okay, the measurement in degrees, and we multiply it by pi over 180. Now, this is going to give us a measurement in a complete number. It doesn't have the units like degrees, because radians, okay, is measured with pi. Okay, and how do we get rid, okay, how do we eliminate the degree unit? Because when we multiply the angle times pi and then divided by 180 degrees, okay, this degree unit cancels with this degree unit. Okay, and the same thing happens on the other side. Okay, when we have it in radians, we have it in pi form. Okay, and how do we eliminate and only leave the degrees? When we multiply by 180 over pi, the pi gets eliminated, and then we just have degrees. Okay, so this is why it's important to remember why we are doing this and how do we get rid or how do we add those units. Okay, so the formula that we're going to apply for these exercises are this one. Okay, it's this one, sorry. Okay, because we have the angle in degrees and we want radians. Okay, so let's do number 1. In number 1, we have 150 degrees. Okay, so that means that we want it in radians, so we have to multiply by pi over 180 degrees. Okay, and this is where the degree unit is canceled. It's this one and this one, and then we will only have pi. Okay, so if we have 150 times pi over 180, okay, this is what we have. So we have 150 pi over 180. We don't have degrees anymore, okay, because the degrees were eliminated in the multiplication. Okay, now technically this is a fraction, right? So we can divide by a common multiple so that we can lower this fraction. Okay, because when we want the measurement, okay, in radians, we can leave it with pi, or we can do the multiplication. So let's do both so that you see what I mean. Okay, so for example, what number, okay, can I divide 150 and 180? Okay, I can divide both numbers by 30. Okay, so I divide 30 on the top, I divide 30 on the bottom, and I have 5 pi over 6. Okay, that is one of my measurements in radians. Okay, so I have 5 pi over 6. Now, I can do this and have a complete number. Okay, so we take our calculators, we multiply 5 times pi, which is 15.7, okay, and we divide it by 6, which would be 2.61. Okay, so this can also give us, okay, 2.61. And that is just another answer. Okay, so you can leave it in form of pi, or you can put the decimal number, same thing. Let's do number 2. Now in number 2 we have a negative angle, but it's the same formula. So we take minus 60 times pi over 180. Remember that these are degrees. The degrees get canceled. Okay, so we only have minus 60 pi divided by 180. Okay, can we simplify this fraction? Yes. If I divide 60 on the top and 60 on the bottom, I have minus what? Minus pi. Okay, minus 1 pi, but it's the same thing, right? So we have minus pi divided by 3. And that is our answer. Okay, because we divided 60 on the top, minus 60 divided by 60, negative 1. And 180 divided by 60, 3. Okay, so we have minus pi over 3, or we can have minus pi divided by 3. And if you notice the answer, okay, negative 1.04. Okay, so we can also have it in negative 1.04. Okay, and that is our second answer. Okay, let's do number 3. Same thing happens here. We have a negative number for a degree. Okay, so we multiply by pi divided by 180 degrees. Okay, and remember the degrees get canceled. Okay, and we only have minus 270 pi divided by 180. Okay, we don't have degrees anymore. Okay, so what happens here? Same thing. Even though the top number is a bigger number, okay, we can still simplify. Okay, so what number can I divide the top number and the bottom number? If you notice, 90, right? So I can divide on the top by 90, divide by 90, and since it's negative, we have negative 3 pi divided by 2. And there we have our answer. Okay? Now, can we put it in decimals? Yes, right? So we would take our calculators and we put 3 times pi, and remember it's negative. Okay, so that's 9.42 negative divided by 2, and we have 4.71 negative. Okay, so we have 4.71 negative. And that's the measurement of the angle in radians. Okay, so we can have it in both forms. We have it in pi form, and we have it in decimal. Okay, let's do number 4. Number 4 says, and we're coming back to positive. Okay, so we multiply by the same number. Okay, they are both degrees. The degrees get canceled. Okay, so we have 225. Okay, pi divided by 180. Okay, now this one looks a little difficult, but we still can simplify. Okay, what number can I divide 225 and 180? Okay, think about it. Okay, so like what we can do is just try. For example, 225 divided by 5 is 45. Can I divide 180 by 5? Okay, or what we're looking for is a number that we can divide both, right? So let's try it. I'm just taking a random number. Let's say 225 divided by 4. It's a decimal, so I cannot use it. Okay, let's say 225 by 5 is 45. Can I use 45 as well with 180? Yes. Okay, so that means that if I divide 45 on the top number, and I divide 45 on the bottom number, I have 5 pi over 4. Okay, and this is the measurement in radian pi form. Can we put it in decimal? Of course. Okay, so we multiply 5 times pi. Okay, that's 15.7 divided by 4. 3.92. Okay, so this is the same as 3.92. And there we have our answer. Okay, so we have this form, okay, this pi form, okay, to express radians. We can also use it in decimals. Okay, perfect. Okay, so remember, under this video you'll find some exercises. Okay, make sure to check them out so that you can resolve them. In the next video, we're going to do radians and convert it into degrees. Okay?